Kindness is a superpower in business, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with a truth that may surprise you. In a world obsessed with speed, scale, and strategy, in a marketplace that worships numbers, dominance, and disruption, in boardrooms where toughness is often mistaken for strength, the most underrated competitive advantage in business today is kindness. Yes, kindness, not weakness, not passivity, not being soft. I'm talking about intentional, disciplined, courageous kindness, the kind of kindness that builds empires. The kind of kindness that creates loyalty money can't buy. The kind of kindness that turns ordinary companies into legendary ones. For too long, business has told us a dangerous story, a story that says, be ruthless or be irrelevant. Crush the competition, win at all costs, feelings don't belong in the workplace, and yet look around. Burnout is everywhere, trust is fragile, employees are disengaged, customers are skeptical, leaders are exhausted. We've optimized for profit but forgotten people, and here's the paradox: when you prioritize people, profit follows. Kindness is not the opposite of ambition. Kindness is not the enemy of excellence. Kindness is not a distraction from results. Kindness is a multiplier because business at its core is not about spreadsheets or systems. Business is about human beings. Human beings who want to feel seen, human beings who want to feel respected, human beings who want to feel that their work and their lives matter. When kindness enters a workplace, something extraordinary happens. Fear leaves, creativity rises, ownership increases. Collaboration explodes. Kindness creates psychological safety, and psychological safety is where innovation lies. People don't do their best work when they're scared. They don't take bold risks when they fear humiliation. They don't speak up when they expect punishment. But when people feel safe, when they feel valued, when they feel trusted, they don't just work harder. They work braver. Kindness unlocks discretionary effort, the energy people give not because they have to, but because they want to. And that effort, that's where breakthroughs are born. Now let's be clear. Kindness is not avoiding hard conversations. Kindness is not lowering standards. Kindness is not tolerating mediocrity. True kindness demands clarity. It says, I respect you enough to be honest. It says, I believe in you enough to challenge you. It says, I care about you enough to hold you accountable. The kindest leaders I've ever met were also the most demanding. They didn't shout. They didn't intimidate. They didn't rule by fear. They inspired by example. They listened deeply. They corrected privately. They praised publicly. They understood something crucial. People will forgive mistakes. They will forgive failure. But they will never forget how you made them feel. A culture of kindness doesn't happen by accident. It is created moment by moment, decision by decision. It shows up in how leaders speak when things go wrong. It shows up in how success is shared. It shows up in who gets credit and who gets blamed. Kindness in business is strategic because customers feel it too. Think about the brands you love. Not just the ones you use, but the ones you trust. Why do you stay loyal to them? Why do you recommend them? Why do you forgive them when they mess up? Because at some point they made you feel respected, heard, valued. Kindness turns transactions into relationships. And relationships are resilient. In a world where products can be copied and prices can be undercut, how you treat people becomes your differentiator. Competitors can match your technology, they can imitate your processes, but they cannot replicate a culture rooted in genuine care. Kindness is remembered long after the deal is done. Now let's talk about leadership. Leadership is not a title. It's not authority. It's not control. Leadership is influence, and influence grows when people trust you. Trust is built when words and actions align, when promises are kept, when mistakes are owned, when empathy is real. Kindness builds trust faster than charisma ever will. A leader who listens earns more loyalty than a leader who talks. A leader who serves earns more respect than a leader who demands. A leader who lifts others creates leaders, not followers. The strongest leaders don't ask, "How can people serve me?" They ask, "How can I serve people?" And here's the beautiful irony: when you lead with kindness, people don't take advantage of you. They rise to meet you, they protect the culture, they defend the mission. They go the extra mile not because they're forced to, but because they care. Kindness creates ownership, and ownership creates sustainability. Now, let's address the skeptics. Some will say, kindness is fine, but business is tough. The world is competitive. You can't be kind and win, but look at the data. Look at the most enduring organizations. Look at companies with low turnover, strong engagement, and loyal customers. They invest in people, they lead with values, they treat kindness as a core competency. Short-term fear can drive compliance, but long-term kindness drives commitment. Fear gets you obedience, kindness gets you belief, and belief is powerful. Belief fuels resilience during crises. Belief sustains momentum during uncertainty. Belief keeps people aligned when the road gets hard. Every great business faces storms. What determines survival is not just strategy, but culture. A culture of kindness doesn't crumble under pressure. It tightens its bonds because people don't abandon leaders who stood by them. They don't walk away from companies that treated them with dignity. Kindness pays dividends you don't see on a balance sheet until it's too late to replace them. Now, let me say this clearly: kindness starts with self-leadership. You cannot give what you don't practice. How kind are you to yourself when you fail? How do you speak to yourself under pressure? Do you extend grace or relentless judgment? Leaders who burn themselves out often burn others too. Sustainable kindness begins with awareness, humility, and emotional intelligence. It requires slowing down in a world that glorifies speed, listening in a world addicted to noise, choosing empathy in moments where ego feels easier. And yes, sometimes kindness is uncomfortable. It means having the conversation you're avoiding. It means apologizing when you're wrong. It means standing up for someone when it costs you. But discomfort is the price of growth. Kindness is courage in action. It takes courage to lead with humanity in a system that rewards hardness. It takes courage to care when indifference is fashionable. It takes courage to believe that success doesn't require cruelty, but that courage is contagious. When one leader models kindness, others follow. When one team embraces it, the culture shifts. When one organization commits to it, the industry feels it. Kindness scales, and here's the legacy question every leader must face. When people leave your organization, what will they say? Will they say, "I survived there"? Or will they say, "I grew there"? Will they say, "I was used"? Or will they say, "I was valued"? Titles fade, profits fluctuate, markets change, but impact lasts. The leaders remembered decades later are not just the smartest, but the kindest. The businesses that endure are not just the most aggressive, but the most humane. So imagine this: a workplace where people feel safe to speak. A team where diversity of thought is celebrated. A culture where success is shared and failure is learned from. A business where people bring not just their skills, but their whole selves. That is not a dream, that is a decision. A decision to lead differently. A decision to compete without losing compassion. A decision to recognize that kindness is not a liability, but a force multiplier. Kindness doesn't slow business down, it removes friction. Kindness doesn't weaken standards, it strengthens commitment. Kindness doesn't make you forget results, it makes results repeatable. So today I challenge you: choose kindness when it's inconvenient. Choose empathy when it's uncomfortable. Choose humanity when the pressure is high, because in the end, the most powerful businesses are not built on fear, but on trust. And the most unstoppable leaders are not those who dominate, but those who elevate. Kindness is not just good for people. Kindness is a superpower in business. Thank you.